Hey guys and girls, we are getting on live today to chat with Bobby Sirkis. Oh, he's already on here. Let's go ahead and get him on. Let's let him get on here, and then we'll catch up and we'll answer some questions.
Alrighty, you see me?
Yeah, I can see you, man. How's it
All right,
going?
good. How are you?
I'm well. I'm well. Still hanging in there. Starting to get prepped for some of the gym reopening stuff. How about you guys?
Yeah, we're trying to figure out how to make that work too. So we haven't
Yeah,
quite gotten that far yet.
yeah. Cool, man. How's the break from the gym been going?
I mean, we're making the best out of it. It's definitely different.
Yeah,
So we've been doing our thing and having people get on the Zoom and kind of going from there. We actually went out and visited one of our athletes, Caitlin, last Friday. Kind of scared her a little bit. She thought she was about to get kidnapped, but it was cool.
that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, everybody was pretty on board and all in and really working out really hard, kind of like those first 2 weeks. But now I'm really starting to see like the desperation of people wanting to get back in the
Yeah.
gym.
Yeah,
So,
so yeah, it's gonna be tricky to navigate once it gets open because 25% capacity is not really that much. So
yeah, exactly. Right now, what I'm trying to do is like kind of break up different time slots where people might be able to come in and we can just get them in like small groups at a time, let them train for a couple hours, send them out, see if we can get more in, and just trying to figure out how to do that. I have
yeah,
a feeling there's still going to be a lot of garage gyms and home training for probably through the summer, though,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. I think we're gonna have to start doing something like scheduling some times and like basically appointments or whatever. So,
Yeah.
but I don't know. We'll see what happens when we get there.
Yeah, definitely. Um, So, something that I don't know, I just assume because you tend to be the go-to guy for most things weightlifting related, especially in Texas. And some of the stuff that I haven't done a great job during this whole, quarantine and all that is really staying on top of what's going on through the national office.
Hmm.
So I don't know if you're, been kind of following and keeping up to date on that, but I've got a few questions that I figured you might be the guy I could ask and could maybe clear up some of the stuff that's going on this year and going into next year.
Yeah, go for it. I mean, I'm on the competition committee, so a lot of things we've discussed through this year. So I'll be able to tell you some things that I might not be able to give you so much information on. So, uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, let's go for it.
Yeah, so what we can do is we can definitely start with like some of the information that they've already given out and just kind of make sure that everybody's kind of up to date on that. So starting with like just the 2020, the rest of this year's schedule and kind of what that's looking like. Obviously there's been a lot of meets that have been canceled. Do we know of any upcoming cancellations or which meets are still on the schedule and how that's going to look?
Well, as everyone I'm pretty sure is aware, nationals is not going to happen. I mean, that's next weekend.
Hmm.
We have announced the postponement of the youth nationals and essentially the cancellation of the AO2. But if you're signed up for the AO2, your registration's got transferred to the AO3.
Okay.
Um, I believe you have an option to get a refund, but you're gonna have to look on the website if you sign up for the AO2 and you can't make the AO3.
Okay.
There are other so the postponement of the senior nationals and youth nationals to the American Open finals in December down in Atlanta. Uh, if that goes off, it'll actually be a really good preview of how we're going to handle national meets going forward,
Hmm.
beginning in 2021 with the nationals meet week or whatever, where
Yeah.
we're going to in 2021, you'll see a condensed schedule. Instead of having a bunch of individual meets, you'll see all of the national championships except for the masters and the universities will be at the nationals meet week in June, end of June.
So that would be
Uh,
youth, juniors, and seniors all competing in the same week,
yeah, youth, juniors, under 25s, and seniors
and under
at that
25s. Okay,
particular meet. Yeah.
awesome.
Um, the under or the universities will be now it'll be combined with the what used to be called the AO1, but it's now going to be the American Open East
Hmm.
or something to that effect. And the importance of the university nationals now is if you plan on competing at the university worlds, that's now a compulsory event, meaning you have to, it's required for you to lift at that event. And there's some other things that you have to do now to qualify for the university nationals, and that's either lifting at your state's, or not state, but your LWC's championship, or a sub event specifically for a regional university's event. And all that's doing is so that you can prove that you are in school or something like that
Yeah,
before you
okay.
get to that
Yeah,
meet.
that's
So,
interesting. Yeah.
but yeah, um,
Um,
it's not going to be too important for next year because there isn't a University World schedule
mhm.
for next year. But there will be one in 2022, and I believe that one's in Hungary, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm.
But yeah, so that those events will be in the first quarter um, of the year. In the second quarter is the Nationals week. The third quarter is going to be the AO Series West, which is supposed to be in Canada somewhere. We don't necessarily know exactly where, but I think that is a really cool opportunity for people to be able to compete with, quote unquote, international. It's not necessarily an international
Yeah.
team, but it does give you an opportunity to go to another country and lift, which, it's a really unique experience. I think the
Yeah,
only,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah, it'll be cool. And then they
Yeah,
have
it's pretty cool
the
because,
finals in the fourth quarter.
and then and finals are going to be its own thing still, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's really cool because, when they first came out with the AO series, that was great, especially from like a club standpoint, because now people have, some more achievable numbers than nationals and finals. And so they started getting this chance to be able to go and travel and kind of do the national type,
Hmm.
experience and get on the big stage. And now that they're opening it up to Canada and kind of having that possibility of being able to experience that more international feel, I think that's, another cool opportunity that, only a very, very small amount of people were able to do. Now we're starting to see that kind of expand into
Right.
anybody who's really trying, in the sport has a possibility of being able to go to these national and now possibly international meet.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it'll be really cool. And again, I was talking to someone a while ago about this when this first came out. It's called the North American Series, and so there's a possibility that we get our friends from Mexico on board.
Mm.
Maybe there's possibilities for meets down there too. So there's a lot of things that can be done with this particular series, and I'm kind of interested to see how it goes.
Yeah, that's really cool. So they've actually also changed the name from the American Open to the just right now North America, right?
Yeah, so North American Open, I think it's North American Open Series or
Okay.
something, but it's North American Open Series East and North American Open Series West or something like that.
Now, previously, have all of the American Opens been just a national meet, or have they been open for other countries to compete?
Um, all of our national events, you could have someone internationally come and attend. Whether or
Okay.
not they were eligible to win awards is a separate issue. So we have had people from Canada for sure lift at our youth
Hmm.
nationals, but they, like I said, they weren't eligible to win a national championship. We've had people, even when we hosted the American Open in Dallas, however many years ago, we had some people from out of the country attend the event.
Yeah, I
Uh,
remember. I remember actually getting to meet Lydia
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, that was cool.
So, um, so the American Open finals and the American Open series, you could still medal as an out of an international lifter per se. It's just when the event is titled national championship. It's those titles are reserved for citizens of the United States,
Yeah, very
or at
cool.
least somebody that holds a U.S. passport. You can be a dual citizen, but
Yeah, so this being now a North American event, that means Canada will also be able to come down and compete with us at the other series as well, right?
that's correct. Yeah,
Okay, cool.
yeah, and it's always, and like I said, I think the American Open series has always been open to that.
Yeah.
Um, I we might have made it easier now because I think you needed some type of letter from your national federation to allow you to come compete. Um, Maybe it was like a permission asking type of thing or whatever, but I think it's now a little easier for the series for that to happen.
Yeah, that's cool. Because I mean, the way they made it sound is that they're somewhat partnering with Canada's board on
Yep,
putting all this together. So
yep.
it seems like they're pretty well involved in it.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know the exact details, but yeah, there is a partnership there. Hopefully, we can expand it, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Um, so they canceled the Olympics this year.
Well, technically postponed it.
Okay, they postponed the Olympics this year to 2021.
Right.
Um, do you have a good understanding on what their plans are as far as the athletes that were possibly going to qualify that were already kind of a shoe in? Because the qualification period wasn't finished out
Correct.
for a lot of people, and so is that going to get opened back up? Do we know kind of how
So
that process is going to go?
the IWF has submitted a proposal to the IOC to finish out their qualifying procedures for the 2020 Olympics. IWF has not heard back from the IOC, so anything that anyone says is purely speculation at this point.
Okay.
Um, Now I can give my thoughts just to,
Yeah.
kind of give what I think might happen. Uh, so a lot of events from this year have been postponed. The only one that has all the international events that Team USA has been a part of that has been postponed. The only one that hasn't been rescheduled yet is the Junior World Championships. I'm talking about major international ones.
Yeah.
There's probably a handful of smaller ones. I know we had like the thing with Europe. We were trying to do like a European Cup style of event. I don't know if that's getting rescheduled, but I'm talking about Junior Worlds or World Championships and regional championships.
Hmm.
So, like I said, Junior Worlds has not yet been rescheduled, and I don't know if that's going to happen this year. The Pan Ams originally was discussed to be combined with the Junior Pan Ams later this year,
Hmm.
but they have officially announced that meet has now been postponed until April of next year. So in April, in April 2021, you're going to contest the 2020 Pan Am Championships.
Mm.
And then later on in 2021, you're going to have the 2021 Pan Am Championships.
Yeah.
And so my thought and my theory on why they're doing that is it's possible that in the documentation of the procedures that the IWF has sent to the IOC is, why don't we just postpone all of the final gold events that were scheduled to April, or push them out a year, and then we'll have those be the final gold qualifying events for the Olympics. And so it's kind of my thought process.
Yeah, which would make the
Yeah.
most sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but again, that's all speculation at the moment. But I think that would be cool. There are other things in play with the postponement of a lot of these events. Our selection document has been updated a couple of times, because this is just something that has not really ever been considered to happen. And so whether or not that same 2020 senior Pan Am team stays intact for April is still up in the air. I know the youth Pan Am team that was selected earlier this year had to be reselected again because the event was postponed by more than a month. And so I'm assuming that the same people that accepted and declined, were the same. They did the same thing on this go round, but I don't know. I haven't seen the official list yet, but yeah, that's kind of my theory on that. And then
I think that'd be cool.
We'll see.
And I mean, and it also, I mean, that makes sense. That's still a long time out to determine a team this far in advance.
Yeah. I mean, they. So I'm just trying to think through some of the information that I'm kind of able to say. But there was an email that was sent out to some of the what they call elite lifters and coaches or whatever, that specified they're in the final rounds of figuring out who's going to be on the or the new policies for getting the 2020 Pan Am team reannounced. And we kind of have to work through our legal team to get that out there. And so that leads me to believe that there could be some changes to that particular team.
Yeah.
But
it's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Because I've even heard of talk of them just deciding that they're going to possibly change the actual qualification process and just change the requirements for the Olympics, which could have been a possibility as well, because they're become so difficult to finish out now.
Right. So the biggest hang up at the moment with the qualifying process for the Olympics is no one's able to test. And so they have to get testing ramped up. And when I say test, I'm not talking about like coronavirus testing. I'm talking about drug testing.
Yeah.
And they have to get that ramped back up to make sure that we're catching cheats and all that good stuff. And I don't know what procedures are in place at that particular level, but I think that a lot of the planning for the Olympics is around getting our drug testing back up and running.
Yeah. So I mean, so they're going to have to require another competition to get that testing in. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. So I mean, there's when you kind of peel back all of the layers of just postponing the Olympics, there's a lot of things that you have to kind of look at that aren't necessarily apparent on the surface.
Yeah, so what's your speculation on, do you think after this Olympics we're going to get back onto, like, you think we're going to have Olympics in 3 years as opposed to 4 after this?
Yeah, we will.
Yeah, okay.
We'll actually have, we'll have an Olympics in 2022, which would be the Winter Olympics. And consequently, the Youth Olympics will also be in 2022 during the summer. And then in 2024 will be the next Olympics, because that's already 2024 and 2028. I mean, they're all set in stone. There's contractual obligations to it, so they're not just gonna push everything back.
Yeah,
At least I don't think
which
so.
makes for a really cool next 5 years, though.
Yeah, well, it's um, when you think about it strategically, um, most people's quads that are really trying to give a good shot at going to the Olympics starts in right about the summer, the beginning of uh, the after the summer or the beginning of the year following the Olympics. And
Yeah,
so all these people that are in the running for the 2020 Olympics, they're going to have a little bit of a head start, or maybe not a head start, but a late start getting ready, even though they're
yeah,
training through for the Olympics. Now these people have been having to stay on top of training for now an additional year. And
yeah.
so
Essentially, they
that
lost a year in the
yeah,
following Olympics
yeah.
on
So
preparations. Yeah,
yeah, it'll be tricky to see how people try to navigate that. But
yeah. Do you think that that could possibly result in lower attendance in this upcoming Olympics?
no, I think once you if you have uh, what is the saying? An Olympics in the hand is worth two in the bush.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. It's
So
not worth, you know, you never know what's going to happen
yeah,
leading into another 3, 4 years.
yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So as far as Texas goes, I don't know how much you want to speak on what we've kind of been discussing or what we're looking at for the next year or anything like that.
Yeah, so it's weird because I was when I was talking to a couple people, I was joking around about getting on this conversation, and we were going to talk about meets in Texas for the rest of this year and next year. And I say it's going to be a real short conversation because there ain't.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
But um, there are a lot of concerns,
Yeah,
and we are trying to manage those the best that we can.
yeah,
Um, the biggest concern is obviously everyone being able to uh, compete safely, attend safely, and um, not necessarily have to worry about anything other than the competition.
yeah,
And at this point in time, I don't think that we can do that.
yeah,
The other thing that we have to take into consideration is state, local, and even our own rules
hmm,
regarding meat. So right now, the state of Texas has kind of opened up just a little bit, and they said that you can do outside sports, and you can have no more than 4 people at a time on a quarter or whatever.
yeah,
And so, when I heard outdoor sports, I'm like, oh, weightlifting is a sport. What if we had an outdoor meet? Uh, that's fine and dandy, but a couple years ago we put in a policy that says after I think it's July 1st through the next couple of months, if you're going to have a meet, you have to have it in a climate controlled venue.
yeah,
So outdoor meets during the summer in Texas isn't going to happen.
yeah,
And so now we have to wait to see how the state and local governments mandate the opening of gyms and different athletic events. Um, in terms of keeping people safe within the event, I've been thinking about this for a long time, or not a long time, but a couple weeks. I
hmm,
don't know exactly how to do that at the moment because I think the biggest risk for the spread of this particular disease isn't going to be transmission from people touching things. It's going to be people exerting themselves, breathing heavily, and then
yeah,
spreading droplets that way.
yeah,
And there's nothing that we're going to be able to do to stop that. I mean, we can wash the bars, we can clean them off all the time, but people are going to breathe on each other, and it is what it is.
yeah,
And so we kind of have to get to a point where people that want to take that risk are okay with taking that risk, and people that don't. Um, I think USA Weightlifting has done a really good job with the online meets.
hmm,
So if you wanted to put up a total to try to qualify for something, you still have the ability to do that. You
yeah,
don't need to go to an in-person meet to do that. But there are some people that are out there that really need the personal interaction, and they might be okay with taking a little bit of risk. Now, when we do get back to meets, there will be some restrictions. We'll try to limit people to per like warm up platform, and try to do our best with making sure people are only touching certain things. Like the athletes should only be touching the barbells. We should have enough coaches to load bumpers and load weights, and that way there's not a lot of kind of cross contamination or whatever. Loaders will only be touching the barbells, and make sure they're wearing gloves and stuff like that. But there's some things that I've got in mind. I'm really looking forward to some guidance from USA Weightlifting on what they're going to do at some of their national events. There are some things that they're going to do. One of them is they're going to limit, at least for the American Open Series 3 that we have coming up, we're going to limit it to session sizes to where there's only a max of 2 people per platform. Try to maybe throttle the number of people that are allowed in the back room. Try to spread out the warm-up areas a little bit more, spread out the marshals a little bit. So we'll see how that goes. And, hopefully some of these things work. And
if it's that same venue, if it's that same venue that they used the last time they were in Vegas, there was so much space in that back area.
Yeah.
It should be pretty safe to be able to spread those out.
Yeah, I hope so. It'll be interesting. Like this particular meet, I feel like they're either going to have like record attendance or they're not going to have very many at all.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a lot of people that, like I said, they are itching to just get out and do something. And hopefully by the time September rolls around, we have a really good idea of how this thing is really working. And there's a lot of theories out there, a lot of plausible theories, but I would be hard pressed to find someone that can tell anybody exactly how this particular virus is spreading, asymptomatic versus symptomatic and stuff like that. So, who knows? Hopefully by that time there's a better solution. But personally, I don't think that we're going to get back to any type of normalcy until there's a vaccine and a treatment, and that's a little ways away.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they decide to do in September, even if that meet stays. It was one of our planned meets that we were going to be attending, but it's so up in the air.
Yeah, even before that one is the Masters Nationals. That one's a couple weeks before that one too. So, that's out there in kind of what was a hot spot out in Florida. So we'll see how that's working. But
so with the Masters stuff, they did just recently announce that they were canceling the Masters Worlds, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, the Masters Worlds is canceled in 2020. Next year is the Masters World Games. And 2022, the Masters IWF committee has reawarded Orlando or at least USA with the Masters World Championships since they couldn't host it this year. Yeah. Which is a bummer because I think it was supposed to be in Russia or something like that.
So, and as of right now, Masters Nationals, Masters Worlds and Nationals were supposed to be going on at the exact same time, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Because Masters Nationals got pushed out to August to combine with the Worlds.
Right.
But then Worlds dropped off, and now Masters Nationals is staying in August, right?
No, they pushed it back like a week or two, so it's now September. It's like the first weekend of September.
Okay, got it. Cool, man.
Yeah, so I think that's still going on. The Masters Pan Ams is still going on. So in terms of qualifying for the Masters World Games next year, which is kind of funny because now it's a few months before the Olympics where they were
Hmm.
saying that, hey, this is you're going to be able to lift at the place where the Olympics was hosted. So that's not
Yeah.
going to be the case. We're going to be there before then.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, um, they just announced some qualifying um, dates. They posted on the Masters Facebook page the qualifying totals that are needed, and the remaining events. So really, the only events that you could have posted a total at to get there, I think, is the American Open Series 1, the and then you have the Masters Nationals, the Masters Pan Ams, the AO3, and the American Open Finals. So there's only a handful of events that you can even go to post a total now because all
Yeah.
these things have been postponed and canceled.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw that big long thread you got going on that Facebook page.
Um, that one or the technical officials one.
Oh, maybe it was the technical official one.
Yeah, that one's. I mean, if we want to sidestep into that, we can do that too. I mean, I don't care.
Yeah, yeah, we probably got another 20 minutes before we get kicked off here. So yeah, if you
All
want
right.
to talk on that a little bit.
Yeah. So just to give some background, there's a section in the rule book, and it's under section 2.5, and it talks about incorrect weightlifting movements. And um, and I don't know the rule like verbatim, but essentially it talks about uh, your footwear cannot touch the bar, and the
Hmm.
barbells defined as the actual bar itself, bumpers, change plates, and collars. And so the question that someone asked was, if someone dropped the weights, they got a white light, and then they touched the barbell with their foot, would that constitute a red light? And then someone said, yeah, it should be. There's no discussion. And then and so then I chimed in with, because also in that same section, it talks about um, an athlete's feet is the only thing that's allowed to touch the platform at any time. And so then I asked, well, should an athlete get a red light if they fall down to their hands and knees and celebrate after making a lift?
Yeah,
Because
which
it's
we've
in the same
seen
section. And they're like,
multiple
no,
times.
it's
Yeah,
different. I'm like, well, it can't be different because it's
yeah,
in the same section of the rule. And then someone said that the intent of the people that created the rule was something else. I'm like, well, that's not what it says in the rule. So it's either got to be all reds or all whites. And I
yeah.
said, my stance on that is I'm going to give a white light for that, because to me the lift is over with. You can do whatever it is you want when the
Hmm.
lift is over with. And so my suggestion on that was, if don't change the rule, like that one specific rule, change the rule, or at least define what's the beginning of a lift is and what the end of a lift is.
Yeah,
Because also in that same section, it says um, having a body part or the barbell touch outside of the competition platform after the beginning of the lift also constitute an incomplete lift. And so if you walk out onto the platform and then you walk off of the platform, does that mean that's a no lift? I don't know. Do you actually have to pick the barbell up
yeah,
in order for it to lift to begin? I don't know. So there's
yeah, yeah.
some
That's
whole
muddy.
debate, but but yeah,
Yeah, there definitely needs to be a clear definition on like there's a lot of that's kind of hidden in there that I don't think has really been like really clearly defined, and I think gets questioned every now and then. And but I think a lot of it plays around what are they actually considering to be the start and finish of a lift, and does anything you do before and after that actually matter?
right. Yeah, so that's before and after doesn't matter to me, as
Yeah.
long as it's I mean there's some other rules that govern before and after a lift. maybe not so much after. Um, but once the lift is completed, then unless there's some type of video review that allows you to go back, you can't necessarily change it.
Yeah.
So that was my whole thought on that. And some people didn't agree, some people did. And that, to me, it was just it was, I wasn't really trying to take sides one way or the other. It was just me trying to voice that this has been a problem
Hmm.
with our own officiating, with inconsistencies. Not
Yeah.
necessarily that you might see a press out, I might not see a press out on the same lift. That's a different inconsistency than the interpretation of the rule book. Now, if
Yeah.
it's something that should be black and white, and but it's not, then that's another different, that's another concern. So
Yeah, yeah, it shouldn't even be the fact that it's a, a long discussion already shows, how,
right,
how it's not a black and white answer,
right.
you
And
know.
it's not that the people that are creating these rules are dummies. They're actually really smart people.
Yeah.
The issue is things get lost in translation into English,
Hmm.
and I think English is the version. I think it might even say it in the rule book that says everything has to be converted to English or whatever. And so all these people from all these different countries are trying to convey what they mean in their language and try to translate it back to English. Sometimes some things get lost in translation,
Yeah.
and you don't necessarily know that something has lost in translation until there's a scenario that presents itself to fix, such as this particular question. Now, fortunately, it's something that doesn't necessarily happen all that often, at all.
Yeah.
But it was just, like I said, it was just a way to point out that there's a bunch of inconsistencies, and that's the biggest complaint that I get about officiating.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there was a local meet that I competed in like last year, and after I dropped the bar, it was like rolling towards me, and then I like hesitated to almost like stop it with my foot after the lift.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then, jokingly, me and like one of the officials in front was like, and so and so it was like, well, does it really matter at this point?
Right.
I got the lift. Can I
Right.
can I
Well,
can I stop it? Can I stop it with my foot from rolling into an official or into myself or bouncing?
yeah.
Like, yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's and agreed. You're not necessarily taking a stand on whether you think you should be able to touch it with your
Right.
foot afterwards. It's more like there's not a clear definition because we let people drop to their knees and scream after a
Right.
lift. So, why is that okay and the other one's not?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to me, it's just a precedence. And uh, when we choose to officiate these meets, we have to find the rules and enforce them, no matter how we feel about a particular rule. Like some
Hmm.
people may hate the putting the foot on the bar as a red light rule, but right now you can't do that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if someone sees it, it's an automatic no lift.
Yeah. Yeah, and whether you like a rule or not, it doesn't really
Right.
matter. It's
Right.
it's every game's going to have rules.
Right.
The rules are going to change. We've seen them change in weightlifting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
They're gonna change again, and they're gonna change again after that, and you
yeah,
know.
so that's just part of playing a sport. Whatever the standard is, or whatever the rules are, that particular time, that's just how you have to compete.
Yeah.
Cool, man. I don't really have any much else for you.
Okay. Um. Yeah. I don't think I got much more information that I could share, unless you can think
Yeah,
of
well,
which.
I appreciate you
Sorry.
clearing up some of the upcoming events, the stuff that's going to be going on next year. I don't know about your personal opinion, but as a coach and as from programming wise, I kind of like things being combined, like national for the national meets next
Oh,
year.
definitely. Yeah. Yeah. It makes things a
Yeah.
lot easier. I think it removes one overall trip on the national circuit level,
Hmm.
and so I mean That's really nice.
Yeah, and I think athletes, I've heard some athletes be a little bit upset about it and stuff like that, but because I think athletes like having all of these options. But
Right.
then you think from a coach's standpoint, I mean, when you're traveling 10 times a year,
Yeah.
it just adds up. It's less time that you can spend in the gym. And then for us, that means we're writing, 10 different programs because you got one person going to this meet, somebody else going to this other meet. So it being like all combined into just these very clear, 3 to 4 set times of the year. I mean, I think it's great. It's better for me to be able to stay in the gym.
Yeah.
Programming towards them is nice, and then nowhere near the travel costs.
Right. Well, I mean, if you think about, I don't know if there's, as an athlete, there's any less opportunities to go to a meet,
Hmm.
um, unless you are one of those people that went to every single American Open Series event. Then you
Yeah,
lost one.
yeah,
But if you're going to junior nationals, AO2, American Open finals, you still have, you could do, you have the American Open one, you can do the Nationals week, and then you can do the American Open final. There's still weeks
yeah,
to do. Um, but yeah, I mean, I appreciate the reduced
yeah. I
schedule.
did too. Now, do you think that these meets are now going to be because there was, I mean, last year's AO3 that we went to, I think started on Thursday.
Yeah, I think some of them may start on Thursday. The Nationals meet week, I think, is going to be like an 8 to 10 day event.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, because I think they're going to have to start. They're going to start with the youth nationals, and then they're going to have to make sure that youth national starts at like the normal kind of Friday thing. So you
Hmm.
have the youth nationals Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then they'll roll right into the juniors and under 25s, and then they'll roll right into the senior nationals.
Yeah. So all these individual national meets kind of on during those week are going to be broken up into youth,
Yeah,
junior, under
yeah,
25, senior.
yeah. They're supposed to have
Yeah.
some segregation to it, but um, that may change based on registrations and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah, cool, man. Well, I also always like if I go to a national meet, I really enjoy when there's a lot of people there,
Yeah,
And so I think that's going to bring something because I've been to, there's been some senior nationals that we've been to that there's really not a whole lot of people there.
yeah,
There's
yeah.
not
No,
much of a crowd, there's not
yeah.
much,
It'll be
athletes.
nice for
Yeah.
sure.
And so I've always enjoyed like going to the series 3 has been the one that we've done the last 2 years, and it just being 1,000 athletes there with all
Yeah,
so it's like a big the energy is just usually a much higher,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot to think about. Like it, making sure you have enough technical officials to do it. And I think if you spread it
Yeah.
out over a week, you don't have 5 platforms running, and you can staff that a little easier.
Yeah.
I think there's some other things, other opportunities that can be done with this Nationals meet week that don't normally get the opportunity to do because all of the technical meetings and all that other good stuff, they're usually on like a Wednesday or Thursday before the event starts.
Hmm.
And so you could have a middle of the week when there's kind of a down and dead period, possibly, to have these big, maybe you don't have a technical meeting because they're required before the event starts, but maybe have like a technical conference and you can have like an open forum to discuss rules and rule changes and other things that you want to know about
Yeah.
that you haven't really ever been able to attend in the past because the you get there on either Thursday night or Friday morning. You get there as late as you can, and then you leave as soon as you can to get
Yeah.
back to your life. But if you're going to
Yeah.
be there for a whole week, it's probably a good idea to have something to fill some of the time.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. From a technical officer standpoint, is Is that still, is the demand on that still really, really high? Like, is that still, are a lot of people still moving into that role, or is there always a shortage, especially when we've got now meets where there's 5 platforms running at one time?
Yeah, it doesn't matter what event it is. There's always going to be a shortage, and it's because of
Yeah.
what you said. It depends on the amount of people that show up to an event. And so if you've got you got 1,000 people, you're going to have 5 platforms, and what you need 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people minimum to run a session times 5,
Hmm.
whatever that is, 40
Yeah.
people, technical officials at any given time. And so that makes it a little difficult. So if you spread that out, and you can reduce that to, maybe 30-ish, that makes things a little bit easier because um, it just, like I said, it takes a lot. There's some people that will get there for the first session. They'll sit in the same chair all day long, and they won't move. And
Yeah.
I appreciate those types of people, but eventually, I think that's when you get later on in the day. They lapse of judgment a little bit, and they just button happy, and they're just trying to get out of there. And
Yeah, you need
it's
to be able to
not a good
shuffle
experience for the
around.
official.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
So.
sure. So, real quick, before we get kicked off, we maybe have about 6 or 7 minutes. For those that might be interested in becoming a technical officer, what's kind of the process there?
Um, Well, the first thing you got to do is become an LWC official, and that's a pretty easy process. You can do that all online. You can review the testing material, and then you take the test online, and you
Hmm.
become an LWC official. And then after a certain amount of time and certain amount of meets, you can test to become a national referee. Um, I don't know the timing and all the other guidelines, but it's on the USA Weightlifting website to figure out. Um, and then after that, and this is something that I'm doing this year, is you can test to become an IWF official. I think the lowest level is Category 2, and so I'm going to test for that. And then after a certain amount of time and a certain amount of events, I can test to be a Category 1, and that's the top official at the moment for IWF.
Cool.
Um, and so, yeah, that's kind of the process. And as a national official, we have to have so many national officials for officiating a national event. Um, you have to be, when a session requires a jury, I don't know if it's IWF or if there's a certain, if you have to be a Category 1 to sit on the jury for USA Weightlifting events. And then
Hmm.
obviously, if you want to officiate an international event, you got to be IWF
Yeah.
Category 1 or 2.
Cool, man. Well, good deal. Well, I appreciate it. Bunch
Yep,
of good information there.
no problem.
Thanks for jumping on and chatting with me, man.
Yeah, no worries, man. Anytime.
Yeah, we'll talk soon.
All right,
All
see ya.
right, later, dude.
All right, bye.